It was late March, and the spring equinox had passed. 3 of the calendar captors had already worked on their respective holidays: Newman for New Year's Day, Sweetheart for Valentine's Day, and O'Sheen for St. Patrick's Day. Zippo knew that it was soon time for him to get ready for Easter, and that means a lot of responsibilities to take care of. So, on certain days, he would ask his fellow calendar captors to help. Zippo would even have the help of their human friend, Norman. On this particular day, Saturday afternoon, Norman, Sweetheart, and Mary were helping Zippo with decorating baskets. They worked with paper grass, wicker, lace, and ribbon.
"Just a few more and we should be good for the day," Zippo smiled. "I really appreciate your help, guys." "We're glad to help, Zippo," Sweetheart smiled. "I'm quite adept with working with lace."
"And my experience in ribbon work has certainly come in handy," Mary smiled.
"Thanks for asking me to help too, Zippo," Norman smiled. "Hey, don't sweat it, buddy," Zippo chuckled. "Thank you for helping me too."
"No problem," Norman smiled. As Norman finished putting some paper grass into a basket, he felt his phone vibrate, indicating he got a text message.
"Oh hey, Mac just texted me," Norman said.
"Someone filmed me during my play audition at school yesterday? What's this?" He clicked on the video link, but instead of it being a video of Mac, what Norman actually got the link was for a silly video. Norman laughed. "You got me good, bro, lol," Norman said aloud as he texted back.
"What was all that about?" Mary said, confused.
"It's something that my siblings and I do from time to time," Norman said, still chuckling. "We send each other videos that make us laugh." As Norman explained, he sent the 3 present calendar captors video links that both Mac and Virginia had sent to him.
"Oh, well, that's quite a thing to do with siblings," Sweetheart said. "I guess we all need a little laughter once in a while."
"Yeah, especially around this time," Norman said, his laughter winding down. "We send the really funny ones whenever April Fool's Day rolls around." "That would make sense," Zippo said. Norman smiled as he put his phone back in his pocket. He then had a thoughtful look to him.
"Something on your mind, Norman?" asked Mary curiously.
"Yeah," Norman said. "I met you guys and learned of the holidays you represent. So, is there a chance I might meet the calendar captor of April Fool's Day?" The 3 were then suddenly quiet. They struggled to come up with an answer.
"Is something wrong, guys?" Norman asked.
"Well," Mary finally said, "we would have to tell you about him first." A short time later, in the calendar captor's historical library, Mary had pulled a dusty brown book from one of the top shelves. On the cover, it had a golden emblem of a comedy mask. The pages had turned yellow from age. It was evident that this book wasn't open for a while. "Ah, here it is," Mary said. She then floated back down to the ground and opened it. The inside page read, "Mr. Scalawag, calendar captor of April Fool's Day." "Mr. Scalawag?" Norman said, reading off of the page. "That's right," said Mary. She then flipped the pages of the book to showcase a full-body image of Mr. Scalawag. He was an impressive sight to say the least. Mr. Scalawag was an anthropomorphic harlequin bug. He had short yet fluffy brown hair and tanned exoskeleton. He had 2 sets of eyes, and his cheeky yet charming smile showed he had prominent fangs. Being a bug, he had 6 limbs, 2 sets of arms, and a pair of legs. He wore a dark magenta, almost red tweed jacket fastened with dark gray buttons over a yellow-collared shirt fastened with a white and red spotted necktie. He wore dark brown slacks and black shoes with white spats. On each hand was a white glove. And on top of his head was a big dark brown top hat with a dark magenta band. His antennae were poking out from the brim. "Mr. Scalawag is given with puns, jokes, and pranks alike," Mary said, reading from the book.
"Mr. Scalawag can not only dish out great jokes, but can also take jokes. He has a wondrous sense of humor," Sweetheart read.
"While Mr. Scalawag does pull pranks, he never does anything that seriously hurts anyone or makes people angry," Zippo finished. As they read, the pages showed various illustrations of Mr. Scalawag pulling pranks and even laughing to himself. "Wow," Norman said with amazement. "He sounds like a pretty funny guy."
"Yeah, there are moments that we did enjoy with him," Sweetheart admitted.
"Did?" Norman said, noticing Sweetheart's words. "What happened? Is he—"
"Oh, he's not dead,"
as Zippo clarified.
He just doesn't live with us anymore.
Well, why not? Norman asked.
Well,
Mary explained rather sheepishly.
As much as we like him in his sense of humor, he just, what Mary is trying to say is that,
Sweetheart tried to say,
Mr. Scalawag is a harlequin bug and, well,
basically, Zippo explained, he doesn't live with us anymore because... Mary turned to a page in the book, showcasing an illustration of Mr. Scalawag. In this, it showed him with noticeable yellow-orange scent fumes drifting from his back. He stinks, the 3 calendar captors said, holding their noses.
I guess that would explain it, Norman said. Well, I like the fact that he brings laughter to others, so even if he does happen to stink, I wouldn't mind meeting him someday.
I suppose you have a point, Mary smiled. You really do have a willingness to give others a chance. So, Norman wondered, how can I find him? He wanders around the world these days, hiding in alleyways and such, Mary explained. I'm afraid we don't always know where he is. Hey, said another voice coming from the entrance of the library. It was Nocturna, the calendar captor of Halloween. Who or what are we guys talking about? Mr. Scalawag, Zippo said to the bewitching bat. Norman was curious about him and we were explaining the details.
Yeah, Norman said. I want to meet him.
But, Sweetheart explained, we were also saying we don't always know how to find him. It's not that difficult for me, Nocturna smiled. I have my own way of finding him, since he and I usually catch up with each other. If you're so keen on meeting him, Norman, I'd be happy to take you.
You will?
Norman said excitedly.
Aw, thanks, Nocturna.
Nocturna then began to flap her wings and she started to hover a bit. She then flew over to Norman and grabbed his wrist. Nocturna then flew out via the skylight, making sure she had a firm grip on Norman. Nocturna flew for a while, sniffing the air.
Hey, Nocturna,
Norman pondered.
How come you're usually the one to catch up with Mr. Scalawag?
Well, you know the saying trick or treat, right? Nocturna said.
Yeah,
Norman said. That's why, Nocturna explained. Tricks and pranks are basically the same thing, so we have that in common. Of course, I'm better at treats than I am at tricks.
I see, Norman said with a smile. And what about his smell?
I'll admit it's pretty strong, she said, but after a while I get used to it. At that moment, Nocturna sniffed, and she exhaled sharply. He's around here, Nocturna said. Norman looked down to see a large alleyway amidst old abandoned buildings. Knowing that there was no danger of them being seen by humans, Nocturna carefully flew down and set Norman's feet on the ground. After she made sure Norman was safely standing, she let go of his wrists and landed herself. The two cautiously walked deeper into the alleyway until they see a large area covered in shadows. Mr. Scalawag, Nocturna called out. I know this is sudden, but I was hoping we could visit for a while.
Oh, it's no trouble at all. I'll only be a minute and I'll come greet you.
And as Norman and Nocturna waited for him, they heard the clattering of tin cans and even saw a rat scampering out of the shadows, out of the alleyway. Norman, remembering that Mr. Scalawag was a bug, prepared to crouch down. Norman, what are you doing?
Just making sure I get a good look when he comes out, Norman explained. And also I wanted to make sure I don't accidentally step on him.
However, the first thing Norman saw when Mr. Scalawag stepped out of the shadow was his foot. Norman focused his gaze upwards and saw that Mr. Scalawag was much taller than any ordinary bug. He was roughly 7 feet tall to be exact. Norman stood straight up again and backed up a bit to take in the sight. With Mr. Scalawag being more of a vagrant, his tweed jacket gained a few white fabric patches with red polka dots. In his bottom left hand was a black umbrella. Well, you don't have to worry about that, sweetie, Nocturna smirked.
Oh, I see you brought a guest to join us this time. Who might you be?
Once Norman got over the surprise, he shook his head and came back to his senses.
I'm Norman, he said to the bug. Norman Day. I'm a friend of the calendar captors, so hopefully we can be friends too.
Well, this is a rarity. Any friend of my fellow calendar captors is a friend of mine. Hello, Norman. Mr. Scalawag at your service.
He grabbed the brim of his hat with his top right hand and lifted it upwards to politely. After setting his head back his hat back on his head, Mr. Scalawag extended his lower right hand to Norman for a handshake. Norman grabbed a hold of Mr. Scalawag's hand, but Norman felt a sudden shock. Norman suddenly let go. Mr. Scalawag presented Norman with a joy buzzer that was on his palm.
Apologies. That's how I greet any new friend.
Norman couldn't help but chuckle as well. I guess I should have seen that coming, Norman said amidst his laughter. You can't go wrong with the classics.
That's the sound I like to hear. Good, clean laughter from someone who can take a joke.
And the laughter gradually began to wind down. Anyway, I brought some snacks that we could chow down on while we eat. While we chat.
Ah, delightful. Come on, I'll show you inside.
Hey, Mr. Scalawag turns back to a shadowy section of alleyway. Norman got a good look at Mr. Scalawag's back. It was mostly black, but also had intricate decals of yellow and orange. A part that really stood out was a section that was close to his bottom that looked like a comedy mask with two sets of laughing eyes. Norman was amazed at the sight, but as they walked on, he got a whiff of Mr. Scalawag's scent. It was a strong and potent oniony smell. Norman quickly held his nose.
Phew! The others really weren't kidding about you.
Ah, you no doubt smell my natural cologne. El de Morgantia, as I like to call it. It can be a lot to outsiders, but once you get to like it, you'll wonder how you went on without it.
I guess.
Norman said, still holding onto his nose. They continued to walk on until they reached a dead end. Mr. Scalawag comes out to an old abandoned dumpster lying on its side, practically red with rust. He opens the top and allows the two inside. The dumpster led to a rather intricate stairwell leading downwards underground. The stairwell was also lit with multiple colored battery-powered Christmas lights. Little something for Mary, Nocturna said. They walked down deeper until they made their way to an underground burrow dwelling. It's considerably well lit with white battery-powered Christmas lights. It was a cozy living room with a dinner table clothed in a coffee-stained tablecloth, 3 chairs sat at it, a dusty chaise lounge, 2 wingback chairs with tattered upholstery, a patchwork rug, and various trinkets and knickknacks based on novelty gags. Wow, Norman said. This is a cool setup.
Why, thank you. It is so me, don't you think?
It is, Norman said. A little messy, but a little fancy.
Please, set up the treats at the table and we'll get to chatting.
Nocturna walks over to the table. She takes off her hat and places it brim first on the tabletop. She swirls it around for 3 seconds. When she lifts it, she reveals jack-o'-lantern sugar cookies, a pumpkin tea set with full teapot, and a bowl of various candies. She then sets her hat back on her head. Man, I love it when you do that, Norman chuckles. He then pulls his chair up for her to sit on. Nocturna got a quick glance at the seat before sitting. She takes her seat. Norman then prepares to take a seat himself, with Mr. Scalawag chuckling to himself. Norman takes a seat, followed by the loud sound of a raspberry. Norman knew what that sound was. He pulled out a whoopee cushion that was on his chair. No doubt, another prank set up by Mr. Scalawag. The trio chuckled happily. That would explain why you look, Nocturna, Norman laughed.
Naturally. Those kinds of jokes are my personal speciality.
Yeah. After they got their laughter out, Mr. Scalawag took his seat at the table, and Nocturna started to pour the tea.
So, Norman, how do you like my fellow calendar captor friends?
I like them very much, Norman said. They help me out whenever they can, and I help them whenever I can. In order to keep our identity secret, sometimes we put on disguises.
Disguises, indeed. Like what?
Well,
Norman explained.
when I needed inspiration to get some great presents for my friends, I had Mary help me. Together, we wore a trench coat and hat, and we went to the mall. Even Nocturna and I disguised ourselves once.
Is this true?
Yep, Nocturna smiled. Norman needed some ideas for his Halloween party. When he put on my hat, that gave me the idea to dress up as a tall warlock. Norman made sure not to show he to anyone else. Our plan worked and we ended up winning the prize.
My! It sounds like you're getting to like Norman quite well.
We definitely are, Nocturna smiled.
Us. Ourselves. Perhaps. You and I could disguise ourselves.
Norman said, trying his best to be polite.
Maybe. It would mostly depend on how I can help you or how you could help me.
It is understandable.
The three friends continued to chat for a while until Norman bent his phone buzz in his pocket. He pulls it out to see that his personal alarm is going off.
Oh! Norman exclaimed. I've got to get home soon. Dinner time will be ready in an hour, and I don't want my family to worry about me.
Pause. But I am so glad we could meet, Norman.
I'm glad we could meet too,
said Norman. No doubt I'll see you again soon, Nocturna said. I know you don't really have anything planned for your day, but I know you have your own responsibilities.
Indeed. It'll be good to be out and about again.
Out and about? Norman gasped. But don't calendar captors have to hide themselves? Normally, Nocturna explained, but for his day, we make an exception.
Suppose you met a fellow on April Fool's Day, and you heard them say, "Look out! There's a giant harlequin bug wearing a top hat close by!" If you and I hadn't met, would you have believed them?
And Norman considered this.
Good point, he admitted.
There you go. Well, you better set off for home. And remember, you're welcome back here anytime you can.
Thanks, Mr. Scalawag, Norman smiled. So Mr. Scalawag led Norman and Nocturna out of his burrow home. Nocturna saw the sunset colors from the alley, and she knew she had to get Norman home before twilight. When the friends said their goodbyes, Nocturna flew up and grabbed Norman's wrist. She then flew Norman to the park close by his house. This way, it'll give the illusion that he just came from that way. Nocturna then waved goodbye to Norman, and she set off back to her home, making sure not to be seen. Norman then walked to his house when his mother greeted him.
Hi, buddy. Did you have fun at the park with your friends?
Yes, I did,
said Norman. Need some help working on dinner? Elizabeth was about to respond when she suddenly smit. She promptly held her nose.
Normally, I would appreciate that. But I think you should change your clothes and take a quick shower first.
Norman was confused at first, but after a quick sniff at his clothes, he remembered.
Oh, right, said Norman sheepishly. There must have been a nest of stink bugs close by that I played too close to, but I'll get cleaned up right away.
Don't worry. I can always have your siblings help with dinner tonight, and you can help next time, provided you stay clean.
I will, Mom,
Norman said. As he went to get a change of clothes, he made a mental note to himself. Next time I visit Mr. Scalawag, he said internally, I'll make sure to have a clean change of clothes. Then maybe that old stinker won't make me the stinker. The end.